In fact, some rural southern Alabama counties have lost over 20% of their population in 2 decades. And yet, when you look at the whole state of Alabama, the numbers are rising. The population just passed 5.14 million in 2023, and it keeps growing year after year. So how can one part of the state grow while another slowly disappears? That's the story of southern Alabama. What's causing this split? Today, we're going to take a closer look at this part of Alabama to understand the land, the people, and the forces that shaped why so few call it home. Historical outmigration and cultural factors, southern Alabama's population decline has deep historical roots, especially tied to the Great Migration of African Americans in the 20th century. This outmigration was driven by harsh conditions, segregation, systemic racism, voter suppression, and the exploitative sharecropping system. At the same time, industrial jobs, political freedom, and cultural communities in northern cities pulled people away from the rural South. As agriculture became more mechanized, black sharecroppers were displaced, and thousands more left after losing their land and livelihoods. By the 1972nd, over 6 million black Southerners had relocated, and many of their descendants built permanent lives elsewhere. This migration left lasting demographic effects, as younger generations often stay in the places their families settled, reducing the likelihood of return migration. While southern Alabama maintains rich cultural traditions and strong community ties, these alone have not been enough to overcome the long-term structural disadvantages that drive people to leave. Natural disasters. Southern Alabama is one of the most disaster-prone parts of the state, and that risk is growing fast. Between 1980 and 2024, Alabama had $116 billion disasters, including hurricanes, tornadoes, droughts, and floods. But what's more concerning is the recent trend. The yearly average jumped from 2.6 events to 6.4 just in the last 5 years. Powerful storms like Hurricane Francine in 2024 brought heavy flooding and wind damage across coastal counties. And severe tornado outbreaks, often lasting several days, regularly damage homes, roads, and power lines across the region. For residents, these events aren't just scary, they're expensive and exhausting. It can take months, even years, to rebuild homes, repair roads, or restore basic utilities like water and electricity. Some families never fully recover, and the risk of having to start over again keeps new people from moving in. Over time, this constant threat makes the region feel unstable and pushes more people to look for safer, more reliable places to live. There just aren't enough good jobs. One big reason so many people are leaving southern Alabama is simple: there just aren't enough good jobs. In some counties, people are earning far less than the rest of the state or the country. Take Wilcox County, for example. The average household there makes just over $21,000 a year. But just across the bay in Baldwin County, folks are earning more than $72,000 on average. Many of these rural counties also have very high poverty rates, around 30% in places like Dallas and Perry. And when businesses close or jobs disappear, more families feel the pressure to move away. Farming and timber once powered this region, but now machines do most of the work, and some paper mills have shut down. Even though new industries are starting to grow in a few areas, there just aren't enough jobs yet to keep people from leaving. Land use patterns. Alabama is mostly rural, with around 90% of the land covered by farms, forests, or small towns. Even though urban land has grown by nearly 80% from 1990 to 2018, most of that growth has been near cities like Mobile and Baldwin County. The rest of the region remains widely spaced and sparsely populated, with little infrastructure to support new development. Even areas with growth potential struggle with sewer capacity and limited internet, which keeps housing and business development low. Healthcare. Healthcare is another major reason why people are leaving rural southern Alabama. Most rural counties don't have enough hospitals or doctors, and some don't have basic services like labor and delivery units. In fact, nearly 90% of rural women live more than 30 minutes from a hospital where they can give birth, compared to just 26% in urban areas. Emergency help also takes longer to arrive, up to 30 minutes in counties like Perry and Clark, while in cities it's usually just 5 minutes or less. There are fewer dentists, fewer hospital beds, and fewer mental health providers in these rural areas. Hale County, for example, has far fewer medical professionals than the national average. And without public transportation, many people simply can't get to the doctor at all, especially if they're older, low income, or don't drive. Because of this, 7% of rural adults miss medical appointments each year just due to transportation problems. Education? Even though Alabama's high school graduation rate is high, 91% in 2024, many rural counties in southern Alabama still face serious gaps in education after high school. In Clark and Perry counties, for example, only about 15–17% of adults have a college degree. That tells us many young people are leaving rural areas to go to college and not coming back. This brain drain means fewer skilled workers stay behind, which weakens local economies and schools. Rural schools often have fewer advanced classes, like AP courses in math and science, and struggle to keep enough teachers, especially in hard-to-staff subjects. Even when schools succeed, like in Wilcox County, where reading scores improved, it's often in places where over 90% of students are economically disadvantaged. Community colleges and technical programs do exist, but in very rural areas, getting to those campuses can be hard without transportation, and not all programs match local job needs. So even if students graduate high school, they may not find the right education or career path nearby. So, that's why so few people live in southern Alabama. From tough history and weak healthcare, to bad roads, limited internet, and land that's hard to build on, it's not just one thing. It's a whole puzzle of reasons that add up over time. We hope this video gave you a clearer picture, and maybe even a new way to look at a place you've heard of before. Thanks so much for spending time with us today. If you've lived in southern Alabama, we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.